welcome to Brand and Becoming. I'm Keisha Sheikh, and I'm so glad that you can join me here. Each week, I share practical strategies and mindset shifts to help you to build a trusted personal brand, stand out, and attract better clients with confidence. Some episodes it's just me, and other times I'm joined by incredible guests with some amazing stories who have built careers, businesses, and personal brands on their own terms. Firstly, as there's such power in networking now, and always has been, but definitely with the likes of LinkedIn, it's really important that we are networking and meeting other people. Please do say hello in the comments and say where you're tuning in from, and also what your goal is with building your personal brand. So let's settle in and get into today's conversation, and welcome to episode 5. Today I'm joined by Wendy Petty, Chief Revenue Officer at WorkFusion. She's an inspiring leader driving AI solutions that help banks fight financial crime in highly regulated environments. Wendy has over 30 years' experience in enterprise tech. She has built and scaled global sales and partner teams across AI, data, cloud, and financial services. Hi, Wendy. Thanks for
Hi,
joining me.
Hi, how are you? Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm good, thank you, and I'm excited to have you as well. And I'm sure a lot of other of our listeners will be as well. I know you've got lots of insights from talking to you before, and lots that I want to, I suppose, dig into as well. So we'll start with, for people that don't know you, when people usually ask what you do now, how would you describe your current role?
So actually, it's an interesting way to start.
Yeah.
So basically, today, the way I describe my role is that I'm responsible for the go-to-market strategy for our organization. That means actually being responsible for all revenue, for the success of our company, and building resilient, powerful sales organizations and leading them. So that's what I do today. That's kind of what I've been doing for a great part of my career. But yeah, it's all about revenue.
Yeah, perfect. And looking back, what would you say drew you into senior sales leadership and I suppose eventually chief revenue officer positions?
So it's interesting. Early on in my career, just getting into technology was kind of I was in the right place at the right time.
Mm,
And when I started, I started more on the technology side, actually learning about computer systems. And what happened was I was watching like all these salespeople in sales positions, flying around the world, doing presentations and, having nice dinners and, making some decent money. And so I said to myself, look, I need to see what this is all about. So I actually, when I started, I was in inside sales, and not to go all the way back, but to get to your answer to your question,
mm,
you need to tell a little bit of the
yeah.
journey, because you just don't go into a sales leadership role. So I started, in inside, and I wasn't schooled, if you will, in
Mm,
selling. And so as we talk over, the next hour, you'll hear that, everything I learned is by doing, and
mm,
so and watching. Of course, there was, sales courses and leadership courses along the way. But really, by being in it is how I, really began to understand the power of selling, and the power of selling and building relationships. So I was actually very successful, just as a sales person. And then, because I always started in startups, and when I first started, nobody called them startups. We were just software companies,
yeah.
and we were bringing technology to the commercial market. And when you bring innovative technologies to a market, you learn again as you're going. And so this was kind of just haphazard. And what was happening was, as we were bringing our solution to market, we grew very quickly. And we were a very young company, and nobody really had any leadership capability. So we were really, really growing, like at a pace like some companies do today. And so I just naturally kind of fell into the role. I saw an opportunity in what we were doing and working with big, organizations, and we were hiring salespeople, and there was nobody to manage them. So I just took on the responsibility and started, managing a sales team. Uh, it's interesting. I was based in New York and we were building a West Coast business. So I was managing it back then remotely,
Wow.
spent a lot of time, in the field. So when I got into that like manager role, it just, it became natural because what it did for me was give me the ability to learn how to make other people successful. So not only myself, but also other people. So I saw the opportunity to grow myself as an individual from the success, of other people. And so that's, from that point on, and that goes back a long way. That's like, not to really date myself, but it was like, the late 80s. It was like 1989. So it's a long time ago. And ever since then, I just, the companies that I work for were all startups. We grew. And I think at one point, I was thinking about this earlier. At one point, I probably have managed at least, over my career, 3,000 plus
Wow.
people globally. So, I just kept doing it and building my teams and building our companies. And, to be honest, we were wildly successful. So
Mm.
why stop? And so today, it's very different today, leading a enterprise sales organization globally. Uh, it's very different selling, but
Mm.
building the teams is really, what makes a difference.
Well, congratulations on all your success because I don't think being a manager is, well, it doesn't come easy for a lot of people because making yourself successful as a salesperson is one thing, but then being able to make other people successful is a hugely different thing. Did you find that was a big shift of like, actually, I'm motivated, I'm inspired, I know how to inspire and push myself, but how do I do it for other people?
Yeah, I mean, so, one of my mantras is, I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything I don't do myself. And
Yeah.
I've always lived by that. And, in coaching, it's always been, in technology, it's 95% of the time you're building a young sales organization,
Yeah.
right? And, you and I talked about this, but it is really, for the most part, in selling technology, it's mostly men,
Mm.
whether they're sellers or whether it's a leadership position. And so you learn a lot from how, salespeople sell and their personalities and
Mm.
what makes them successful and how to coach them. And so over the years, after, managing so many people and watching the ones that were successful and being part of their success and
Mm.
some of them that weren't, you just kind of hone in and you learn that skill set and you really deep dive. And those that want to be successful, you make them successful and they make themselves successful.
Yeah, that's a really good bit of advice, and I think honing on the ones that are, you can see that they will be successful, want to be, have the desire to be, and support them all you can, I suppose.
Yeah, and listen, I'm sure there's some people on here that have worked for me for years, and they know me. I'm very I'm
Yeah.
very very frank and upfront. And listen, I tell salespeople, I will make you successful. There's no doubt. We work together, and I'll coach you, and you will be wildly successful, and you will make more money than you ever have. And it's happened over and over again, and it's really, it's amazing. And so that's a very difficult skill set to have,
Mm.
and to speak so freely about the fact that you can accomplish anything you want.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just going to have a look at the comments. Mary, I ride the way back bus with Wendy. I've watched her growth over the years. Amazing. Thanks, Mary, and thanks for tuning in from Arizona.
Yes. Hey, Mary Ellen, how are you? It's really good to see you. Yeah, we go back a long, long way. She remembers the Cheyenne days.
Oh, nice to have you here. So, as your career developed, would you say there was moments that changed how you lead and make decisions? Was there any pivotal moments that stood out for you?
Uh, yeah. So, most of my career was buildings. We started with, one or two people and built the company to either go public or be, acquired. And the change from running a, startup and making that successful to running a very big sales organization in a very big company
Mm,
is very different. And so through, the acquisitions, for whatever, we were lucky, I guess, or in the right place at the right time that, very large companies bought us.
mm,
And to transition from being a very, one of our first companies, Cheyenne Software, we were a tight culture. We were knit, and every one of my startups, has been like that. That's why we're successful. When you go to the bigger companies, it gets very political. It gets very, it's a whole different world, and nobody
mm,
teaches you how to go from like this phenomenon into this massive, organization. And so I learned a lot, how to transition and really how to deal with um, organizations that are run differently,
mm,
organizations that are very, uh, um, I would say, male driven in a
mm,
much, different way. And you have to learn. And you know what? You gotta put your big girl pants on, and you gotta stand up, and you gotta be strong, and you can't give in. And so during those, and it's multiple times over those transitionary periods, I learned each step of the way how to hold my own and how to stand up for me and how to stand up for my teams.
mm,
Because, we got there for a reason and we were successful and we can integrate. And so I was put in a lot of very challenging, awkward positions where I had to be very, uh, frontal and truthful and not take any nonsense from, the higher ups. And there's lots of stories, but anyway, that's, that transition of learning, those moments. And
mm,
it actually made me more aware of who I was as a leader and who I really wanted to be, because I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be so, even though people will still tell you today that I'm very, I'm tough, but not like I used to have to be, just to, to be strong and be successful. And over the years, my management style got a little bit different. I'm going to say a little bit softer,
mm,
as you raise your family, as you get closer to success in a different way, the world changes. And so it changed a couple times for me. And as the decades, and they are decades,
mm,
went on, you go through life-changing events. And so a life-changing event teaches you to be a little bit different from a leadership perspective. Never change who I am or my motivation or, how to make my team successful. Just a different approach than, when I first started out.
yeah, I love that. And I think, like you said, maybe back then you had to appear or be a little bit tougher because of the situations and where you're at with things that you had to be. But I think, and do you think almost styles have changed as well with management and leadership now that it's not quite how it used to be anyway? So almost adapting to the times of what people want and how to get the best out of people.
Yeah, look, I mean, when you run a global sales organization,
Mm,
everybody knows the number one thing that's most important is, at the end of the day, is hitting the numbers. I mean,
yeah.
it is what it is.
Mm,
But there's, a way to do it that embraces people who they are, and gives them, like, the freedom and the coaching and the support culturally from an entire organization on the smaller side, and gives them the path, to lead themselves.
Yeah. I think that's important, isn't it? Let people almost be individual to themselves. And like you say, the goal with hitting target is very important, but it's almost like allowing people to be themselves whilst doing that if you can, and support them and coach them, not just say hit target, but we're not going to help you do it, or we're not going to help you kind of achieve it. It's kind of that support is really important also.
Yeah. And I think, also now is because of the way that technology has been evolving so quickly, over the years, the internet wasn't what it is today. AI didn't exist. There was no COVID. And so the world was definitely different. The younger generation today, and, I have kids in that generation, are, they're smart as hell, and they're, they don't, they stand up for themselves, and they, when in my sales organizations, they want to be successful. And so, they're motivated. And again, it's not everybody, right? Same thing, for the women that have worked for me. I've, had incredible, women in sales, very few, but, they're all successful. And, to this day, we all stay in touch.
Amazing.
It's to see again the growth of some of these people is amazing. And again, it's life-changing.
Yeah, definitely is. I think also having the right support, or the right, even just one person, like if for you, for example, to help one person, you never know how far they can take their career, and kind of their life can completely change just from having that right mentor, and the right support in place. We'll come around to that later, because I do want to talk to you more around some of the stuff that you're doing to help other people. When we spoke last, I know in-person events and kind of hosting and meeting people face to face is really important, and building deep relationships has been really, I suppose, important for you with actually being successful and kind of selling. Do you believe that in-person interactions outperform digital interactions for building trust in your experience, or how do you view that in-person versus kind of like online capability for networking and building trust?
So I am a big believer still today in face-to-face. It is what you do face-to-face takes months to do, remotely. The sitting down and having, interaction, being in the same room with someone or people is very different, and it's a different style too. So if you think about it, right, when we're, on LinkedIn, or, you're having the conference calls, very hard to get personal, right? It's very hard to understand. It's especially from a salesperson, sales perspective, to read, what everyone's thinking, because half the time, people don't have their camera on. So how can you possibly, see their expressions, as much as you try and have, like from my perspective, we're always on camera, but the customer isn't. So, I think that, getting out in the field and meeting customers face to face, attending events, networking, like there's nothing like it. And you learn so much. Like it's like, even to this day, every time I go out, I learn something new, and it's really hard to do that remotely. It's a different sense. And, just to give you an example of, this whole like networking today, I think people want to get out, and they want to talk to each other, and they want to be face to face, and they want to learn from each other, and they want to see you and see what you're all about. So we try and do as many, face to face networking events, meetings as possible. Not everybody likes it, but they do it, and then they are thankful. I will say, though, interestingly enough, in Europe, especially in London, where I spend, a fair amount of time with the team there, it's very different. Like everyone will meet for coffee or, go have a drink afterwards. It's not as difficult to get face-to-face meetings as it is here,
So it's
in.
smaller as well, isn't it? Everyone's almost in a smaller environment in London.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love it. Like it's it's rejuvenating. So I try and use that
Yeah,
here as well. But, you know, I mean, it's like a personal life, right? You wouldn't
y-
stay in your house all the time. Like,
yeah.
so like, you got to get out.
It does go a long way, doesn't it? I think having that face-to-face interaction, and even with what I do with personal branding, I always say it's both online and offline. So when you're in person, you need to build your personal brand and be who you say you are and kind of be a good person, add value, but then also do that online as well. Because if someone meets you in person, what are they going to do? Probably look you up on LinkedIn, connect with you. So you almost want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile does still look good. It does add value. It kind of speak to your ideal client, shows that you're an expert, but do the in-person stuff and being, I suppose, being good at what you do, making the effort, but also caring about people goes a long way. And like you say, the in-person stuff is really, really valuable. So I'd always recommend building personal brands both online and offline because it's not just
Yeah,
one or
and
the
don't get me wrong. I mean, like, because we spend so much time, now, whether it's in the office or at home, like
other.
LinkedIn is it's like, your personal digital, asset, right? Like
Yeah,
it's your face, it's who you are, because uh, when you do go out, people look, and so do we, right? You investigate the person before you
yeah,
go out, so all about them, and you're ready for the meetings. And we do, most of our research is online. So, and you represent your company, and
mm,
you represent who you are. So it's it's very, like I said, it's very different, but having the best of both worlds is, I
yeah,
think, how to leverage it. Um,
I agree.
yeah.
And I think it goes a long way even to be out at an event that, let's say it's within the industry, and even post a picture or post something from there because it shows that you're in the right places, you're speaking to the right people, you're kind of going the extra step to not just be, I suppose, behind the screen, but then when you are there, you can connect with people on LinkedIn before, during, after. So I think there definitely is a blend of both that's needed, not just one or the other.
Yeah, and I like the challenge of posting and figuring out how to get to a different, group of people,
Yeah,
um, and seeing what resonates and what doesn't. And it's like really surprising that some of the silliest stuff gets the most views, and some
yeah,
other, like, you think is most critical, nobody cares.
yeah. But it's the way the world is at the minute,
Yeah,
isn't it? I think,
yeah,
and you look at the impressions of like a post that you spent loads of time doing, and it's really valuable, and it's oh, not as
yeah,
popular as something that took me 2 seconds to put up from a
exactly,
from an event.
exactly. So,
With and from what I'm seeing, and obviously kind of my research, but also speaking to you before, you've mastered selling into major banks, which is a huge success and achievement um, that you've kind of been able to do. Can you walk us through how the network effect works in practice in those environments? I know as we talk around networking is really important, but how you've gone about doing that successfully.
yeah. Well, I'll start off by saying, if anyone told me that at this stage in my career that I would be focused on selling, financial crime software into only financial institutions, uh, they wouldn't believe it, because I've never, like, just had one vertical
Yeah,
that I focused on. It was always, across the board. So this was a good, a fast learn on how to do this. And I
mm,
didn't do it, on my own. We did it as a team, because, we were this team here at WorkFusion, um, selling into this vertical is very challenging, and it's a very long sales cycle. So we
mm,
had to, we had to figure out how to break the code, right? And so what I quickly learned is the fact that this community is so small,
mm,
from financial services, and everybody knows everybody. And it's not to say that it's the same, in all industries. It is, but the financial world is a little bit different. And so what we did was, we started creating what I call the network effect. And I know a lot of people use the network effect, but we had to do it in a very, very like focused way. And so when you're bringing a new technology, especially AI,
Mm.
into banks, and this was before like open AI and everyone talking about AI agents, you got to find a way. And so we, as a company, and our CEO Adam, at the time when he came in, created this idea of digital workers and AI agents for fighting financial crimes. And so we were relentless about targeting specific, the buyers on the business side as opposed to the technology side, because we knew that, our solution solves real world business problems that have been, around forever. And
Mhm.
so, you get your first couple of wins and they really, they take you under their arms, and they speak to all of their other, counterparts. And so very quickly, after we started getting, our first major wins, and, we're in 10 of, the top 20 banks today in 3 years, which again, the team is
Wow.
incredible, is I would say, due to this network effect that we created this momentum and the success with our software and our AI agents that we've been proven in a very short amount of time in financial institutions. So the network effect is not only on the banking side but with our partners.
Mm.
So I've done it. This is, I think, yeah, this is my eighth company. So I've done it before,
Wow.
and I've learned along the way. This was by far the most difficult,
Mm.
and we will grow 60% this year, which is very challenging in this space. So when you find what works, you just dig in and you make it you make it bigger and better. And this is a whole team effort. This is not about a CRO. This is about the CMO. This is about the CEO, the CTO. Like
Mm.
we are very we have to all work together as a team to make this happen and to execute, the way that we have.
Yeah. Well, I think there's such power, isn't there, in people talking as well, and almost the different banks talking to each other, recommending you, you're doing a good job, and almost being able to talk to each other about what's working, what's not working. But you've been able to be niche as well is really important, as and doing a good job for each and then everyone that you're working with, because again, it's down to perception, isn't it, and almost credibility as well.
Yes, yes. Like you don't, yeah, you don't. In banks, you can't fail.
Yeah.
And we stumbled along the way. Like it was not easy, but we pivot very quickly, and that's another thing. Just from a learning perspective, um, being able to pivot when
Yeah.
something's not working and do it quickly is extremely important as a leader, as a salesperson, as any role that you're in.
Yeah.
This ability to pivot and then jump on it and be take it to the next level uh, is important to learn that capability.
Yeah. That's some really good advice there. I think being able to pivot when you need and not just being stuck and set in your ways just because you think it's a good idea. It's like
Yeah,
pivot where when you, for any person, I suppose, in business, or if you've got your own business as well, that's relevant to them as well.
yeah, yeah. And the other thing too, interestingly enough, and this isn't just about now, it's about over my career, is that one of the things that is important that I learned is really listening to other people. Well, listening to the people that work for you and listening to your customers.
Yeah.
It's very hard sometimes the not to. It's very hard sometimes that you think that the direction to go or what's working,
Mm.
what's not working. But I found that now, even more so than ever, the listening piece is really important. Hearing what other people are, advising or suggesting, I mean, just makes you a better person. It makes the company better. I've always been a believer in the success of the company
Mm,
is the success of our customers who have provided us feedback so that we can make, our technology better. And that's been, a life lesson is nobody, it's not about us. It's about the customer and the partners and the feedback that you're getting to build
mm.
a much stronger business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think listening goes a long way, which again, not everyone kind of does take on board, and getting feedback, because what you may think is great, your customer
Yeah,
may think that's actually, I like you, but I don't like your offer, or I don't like what your solution, and this is why. So I think
yeah,
listening to that can be a deal breaker as well.
yeah. My husband might not agree with me about listening.
That's okay. And I want to touch on a little bit around, I suppose, being a female, working your way up within technology. Obviously, especially back then, it was very, very rare, and it's still rare now, isn't it? But I think there's definitely more women that are trying to kind of make moves in space and that are making moves. But what challenge would you say that you've seen women face when trying to progress their careers?
So, just a fact that everybody should be aware of as well in this space for women in technology, that today in technology companies only 10% of women are in like a, well, I think even in a C level or even a CRO role. So there's very
Mm,
few women in a C level role. There's maybe like 25% that are in leadership. And if you think about that, from all the software companies
yeah.
that are out there, I mean, it's very far and few in between. I don't see it changing, to be honest. The best thing that I just saw actually was OpenAI hired a female CRO, Denise Besser, I think her name
Oh,
is. Anyway,
amazing.
yeah, and so that's huge. I
Yeah.
mean, for someone, for her to get in that role, because it's very difficult. So um, nothing's really, for me, nothing's changed, right? it's
Mm,
been it's been like this my whole career. So what, right? So what do? You be who you are,
mm,
and you lead your teams, um, and you kind of have to like separate being a female in this industry
yeah.
and being a leader, because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter, especially at this stage. Like, so what? Okay, it is what it is.
Mm,
You get so used to it, like it doesn't have any effect. What I will say though, for other women in technology or that want to get in technology, and why it's hard is because you might have, a lot of companies give you sponsorship, and they
mm,
mentor, but there's nobody that's opening the door for you. Like, I don't,
mm,
there's nobody opening the door. The person that opens the door is you. And that's, look, I'm giving you like, the real world. There's nobody that opened the door for me. I opened the door, I found the door, and I pushed myself.
mm,
And it's unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. And so to be successful for women if you can get them into leadership positions, right, is you have to be proactive. You have to take a stance. And, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You can't stand down, right?
mm,
And if you want to do it, then you do it, and you do get a coach, and you do learn along the way. And there are lots of people that will support you, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to you as a person and your self motivation and where you want to be in your career.
yeah.
I do think that honestly, like when I move on, after selling and being in this business, um, for young women, I think it's crazy not to go take the initiative and learn how to sell technology, because it's so relevant from a day-to-day perspective. Like, everybody lives in technology, everybody knows it. So why
Mm,
not go sell it, right? It's like, it's kind of like silly, not to.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's huge opportunity. And then at the end, if you want to be in technology and you want to be in sales, it's the fastest way to making money.
Yeah.
If you're good, like there's nobody that it's like running your own business, right? You
Mm.
are as a salesperson, as a seller, you own it and you run your business, be successful,
Yeah.
right? Learn, travel. I mean, it's amazing the places that salespeople, not just me. I mean, it's amazing that salespeople in technology companies where they've been as far as, trips go around the world, you
Mm.
travel. I mean, it's not all fun, but how many
Experience and
yeah, the experience and, like I
the
never,
opportunity from it as well, isn't it? Like it is mind blowing.
yeah, like have I taken advantage of it over my career? Probably not as much as I should have. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like, go take advantage of it, go get out there. I mean, you wouldn't normally get to go to places or meet people that you would in other positions where you're, working in an office.
Yeah.
And again, look, I don't know who's on here or who's going to listen. It's not for everybody, right? But
Mm.
I will tell you, the opportunities, the door is wide open. And today, selling technology, yeah, it's hard, but there's nothing easy. But it could be a beautiful career and journey. And
Yeah.
you learn so much, and you can build a great life.
Yeah. Totally. And I think being able to sell or technology's opportunity that comes with that is huge, but also being able to sell in general is so transferable for whatever you want to do throughout your life as well. Because ultimately, we need to be able to sell either to get a new role or to progress your career or to have a business or whatever it is you want to do.
Very
Being able
true.
to sell is a huge
Very
skill.
true.
But I've got a question here for you. For women aiming at CRO or revenue leadership roles, what signals do boards and CEOs really look for that rarely show up in job descriptions? So I suppose the job description is one thing, but what really are CEO, what is the board looking for?
It's funny, whoever asked that question, it's one of my favorite topics these days. So, so boards are no nonsense, depending on the
Mm,
company that you're in. They look for one thing, and all they care about is what did you do for me lately, and did you hit the numbers,
yeah.
right? And similarly, you have to have your act together. You have to be in your business. Forget the board, right? In your business, building the organization, showing your showing your plan, building
Mm,
your plan, and executing on your plan. Do what you say you're going to do and do
mm,
it. And that's it. It's as simple as that. It's very black and white.
yeah.
Build the plan, work the plan, execute the plan. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. It might not always work, and that's where it goes back to pivoting,
Yeah.
but, you know, they have to believe in you, and you have to have confidence and passion and conviction and
Yeah.
execution to, work with boards. One of my goals again, once, you know, over the next couple of years is, to sit on some boards because I think that there's opportunity to help and lead, CROs in technology companies or even other
Mm,
companies. The company depends on the CRO. That's it. At the end of the
yeah.
day, and it's a team, but like I own the number.
It
The
comes
company
back to
owns the
you.
number, but it's my job, right? It's my team. Like if we're not successful, the company's not successful. It comes back to you. Um, it's
So
pretty
when
straight.
it's a really great tip there, and I think when someone's applying for that type of role, would you say to make sure, well, one, show your passion and your energy when if you do get the interview, but also show your achievements and what you have been able to achieve within your previous roles, because like you say, they want to know what you've done and kind of what
Right.
you are doing rather than you know responsibilities. They want to know what you've maybe done before and what achievements you've made
Yeah.
for other companies.
Your history is and your recognition in the industry and your
Mm,
success is really, what it comes down to. Um, it is what it is.
yeah. When it comes to women, it's something that I see a lot, and there's stats that back this up. But women women experience imposter syndrome quite a lot at every level. Have you seen this show up in your career or in the women you mentor, and how have you kind of worked your way through it, and when you have felt it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of the sun. Yes. So it's, to this day, like, it happens all the time. Like you're in a deal, right?
Mm,
And you're like, is this happening? Like, I just had a conversation that I know that they said that they're going to move forward, but I don't believe that they're going to move forward, even though they said they were going to move forward. And you like, this is real, like, and you question, you second guess yourself. Like, I know I heard them, but is it really true? And that's where like that imposter syndrome comes out because it kind of becomes like mental.
yeah.
But it is real. Years ago, where the imposter syndrome was, I don't know, it seems like people talk about it less today, but um, I never really like got caught up in it. But if I
Mm,
think about like those moments, like when you question yourself when you shouldn't be questioning yourself,
mm,
that to me is like more like the imposter syndrome kind of. Yeah, it shows up. It definitely shows up. In the middle of my career, yeah, it definitely showed up because should I be getting, on stage, presenting, to CIOs about, my solution when I'm, uh, uh, a sales leader? Who am I? But you are who you are, and you got here for a reason,
mm,
and you have all the right to be on that stage.
yeah.
And so you have to, and again, this is to share with everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a female or not in this, in this industry. You've got to learn, and you've got to show your confidence. You've got to show your passion, your conviction, and your resilience in anything that you do in technology sales or sales in general. I think even more so.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's almost just going for it, isn't it? And a lot of what I've seen is a lot of women don't even apply for that role, or they don't actually put themselves out there because they do struggle with imposter syndrome. Where actually you're probably more than capable, or over capable, and it's just believing in yourself. And then if you believe in yourself, then the person that you're either trying to get the role with or trying to sell to will as well. And even if you feel those things, just kind of still do it anyway and don't let it stop
Yeah,
you.
comes
Had
over
another
you.
Yeah, had another question. Does imposter syndrome ever fully go away, or does it just change shape as the stakes get higher?
Yeah,
For
no,
you
it
guys,
doesn't. It doesn't go away. It's just like the conversation about to myself about a deal closing happens as we
today,
speak.
yeah,
And
it's mad, isn't it? How our brains can work.
yeah, and it is um, your mind. Can take over uh, what's real and what's not real. Uh,
Yeah,
so, and that's another kind of learning over the years is as you grow in your own role, just another piece of, advice. It's crazier today than ever
mm,
before because there's so much craziness in the world. Your mind um, is your strongest muscle,
yeah,
right? And you really, sometimes it gets in the way, and you really have to be able to separate what's real and what's not real.
yeah,
And one of the things we talked about was, I know we're probably running out of time soon, but one of the things that we talked about that I really want to share with everyone, especially the women that have been in technology or really have been on a journey like I have.
mm,
Um, what's important is you do look after yourself. Like that's the most important person is you. and your work can be completely overwhelming. And create your own network of people that you can be around that are positive. Don't make sure you're in a positive group
Mm,
that you can learn from, and that you can share with, because it will help you, as a human being. And for me, it's taken a long time to get here, obviously.
mm,
And the journey has been you know spreading the way, without like someone leading, because I've been leading.
yeah.
So for all of you, you have that opportunity to embrace a community, to think about uh, your personal life as well as your professional life, that like make it coexist. I'm probably, not a good example of it, but that's who I am, and that's how I got here. And have I learned along the way, how to be better at that? Yeah,
Mm,
but I feel like it's important to share, for everybody, the importance of your personal life and your professional life. And is there a balance? There could be. I've learned from a lot of the folks that work for me, they create balance. Again,
yeah.
it's another learning. And even my closest friends today, they're like, Wendy, it's like, it's time, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's
So
important.
yeah, and so I'm just, sharing, and maybe it's a little bit, too open for, the community, but just do it. Like, it's really
Mm.
important.
I think looking after yourself and self-care, but being around the right types of people is really important, isn't it? And that we've talked around when, people are entering maybe the later stage of their career, and how to navigate that. And it is really important, isn't it, that you do things that you enjoy, but also you have the balance with your life as well, and that you, because but people being burnt out in careers isn't good either, because you're not going to be able to perform for yourself, or for yeah, for work if you are
Yeah,
burnt out.
yeah. So my next journey is all about that, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Longevity and health and fitness, and you know uh, leveraging everything I've learned, but going out and sharing with the rest of women that didn't have a path,
Mm,
because it didn't exist, but I'm going to create that path.
yeah, that's hugely powerful. And I think, like you said, not everyone would have had that kind of support or help before. So it's great that you're going to do that. I've just got
Yes.
a couple of questions before we wrap up. And this has been really, well, really great for me, but I'm sure everyone that's listening and that will listen will get a lot of value from it. So we have a segment called Brand Truth or Brand Myth. So it's either, in your opinion, a truth or a myth. So in
Okay.
person, the first one is, in-person meetings matter more today than they did 10 years ago. Is that a brand truth or brand myth, in your opinion?
Brand truth.
Would you give a reason why?
I think that, again, the face to face, building, rapport, the relationship, um, body language,
Mm.
getting
So
out.
why does it matter more now than 10 years ago? Is it do you think just there's so much noise out there that it's important to be
Well,
visible in person?
I think people don't want to do it, and it's easy just not to do.
True. Yeah. Oh, okay, the second one is, women in senior roles get fewer opportunities because they're less visible.
Truth. Like, I think that, I think earlier we touched on the fact that you have to, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
That no one's no, you gotta open the door,
Hmm.
and that the mentoring is there, the sponsorship might not be there. Um, you might get like uh, you might be too vocal, and that might not be a good thing, and you might not be vocal enough. But yeah.
Yeah. Or things like imposter syndrome may just be stopping them from being visible, or getting
Yeah.
themselves out there, which is another thing. The last one, so brand truth or brand myth. Senior leaders can succeed without building a personal brand.
Oh, that's a myth. Well, I should say it's a little bit of both. Brand truth, brand myth. You need to build your personal brand. Even, it's kind of funny, like Wendy Petty is a brand.
Yeah.
Build your brand.
And I think it's whether you like it or not, isn't it? You're going to have a personal brand. So it's about what people say about you when you're not in the room. How do they
That's
kind
right.
of talk about you? How do they sum you up? And perception is everything. Whether that's you're seeing someone in person, online, people are going to have an idea of you. Do you care? Are you passionate? Are you reliable? What are you an expert at? What are you good at? So letting people know that is important to progress your career, if anything, and
Yep.
be able to kind of work with clients and stakeholders. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been super, super, well, an amazing chat, but also I've learned a lot, and I'm sure lots of others have. I've got one final question for you, which is, what are you becoming next? So what are you excited for? What are you going to be working on next? And what's your next goal that you've got?
I'm going to become the Wendy Petty version 2. Um,
Love it.
I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but I'm going to find it. It will be around mentoring and building a community for women that want to build their careers, whether it's in technology sales or a leadership role. I will travel. I will continue to work in some capacity because I wouldn't know what to do otherwise. But to be truthful, I'm figuring it out as we speak. Until then, my goal is to make my team and this company wildly successful on the rest of our journey, to continue to lead and to take my team to the next level.
Amazing. Well, I think having the personal goals and then work goals, but also having some like a direction, isn't it? It's nice to go, but you can figure it out as you're going. And the beauty with now is that you can learn as you go, but also test it out as you're going as well, and speak to people, like we said, get feedback. What do women want? What are they needing help with, and go from there.
Yes, this has been great. I appreciate it. And hopefully, those of you who, are listening, you can obviously reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am a big LinkedIn person. And anybody that, is looking for a mentor, I'm, available. I'm here for, that kind of support. And it's a great industry. For me, it's been an incredible journey.
Well, you've done amazing, and congratulations, especially starting all those years ago when it was a lot different as well, and navigating your way through. And yeah, do reach out to Wendy. I will also be sharing this with my email and kind of my community on that as well, and also on podcast platforms. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Wendy,
Thank
for
you.
doing this with me. You've also been my first female women guest, which has been amazing. It's
Excellent.
yeah, really, really insightful, but also inspiring as well. So thank you very much, and have a great day, everyone. And I'll see you soon. Thanks,
You
Wendy.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.